The Linux news you love from the people you trust. This is the Linux Action Show.
This episode brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
This week on the Linux Action Show, we review PCLinuxOS 2010 and tell you why it might just be the best Linux distro you aren't using. We tackle the silent killer of our gadget freedom. Plus, we cover the new MeeGo user interface for mobile devices and why we think it has real staying power. Then we cover the latest Mandriva releases and give you our tip for watching YouTube without the flash. Oh, this week on the Linux Action Show! And welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 12, Episode 8. My name is Brian. With me, as always, Chris.
Hey there, Brian. The new all-in-one Commodore 64-bit Phoenix runs Linux.
It sure does.
Now, everybody remembers the old Commodore, you know, the old classic.
I miss my Commodore 64.
So these guys are coming out with an all-in-one machine.
I love the VIC, too.
I also dig an all-in-one machine.
I'm a big fan of the all-in-one.
It's pretty decent, too.
Huge fan, yeah.
You can get with a quad-core processor in it. You can get some decent specs of memory in here and processor up to 4 gigabytes of memory. You can do built-in hard drive. And if you're watching the video version, we're showing a display of the internals. And the keyboard sits right on top of the guts, which is pretty cool.
It's just like the old school Commodore 64
and they managed to fit
regard.
They fit a full-sized hard drive.
Yeah, no, it's a full-on pimping machine. Real quick, Chris, while I read this ad copy from GoDaddy. This episode of the Linux Action Show is sponsored by GoDaddy.com, the world's largest web host and domain name registrar.
Oh.
If you're ready to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has got you covered. Domain names as low as $1.99 plus world-class hosting with unlimited disk space and bandwidth. Do-it-yourself website builders, dedicated servers, SSL certificates, and so much more. Plus, as a Linux Action Show viewer, enter promo code Linux, that's LINUX, at checkout and take an additional 10% off your entire order. Some restrictions may apply. See site for details. Get your PC the internet now at GoDaddy.com.
You know, I want to point everybody to is from the AppBrain website, which is a great Android application site, and it's called Fast Web Installer. It's a little piece of software you put on your machine, and it will receive a push notification from AppBrain. So now when you're browsing AppBrain's catalog...
I'd like to point out, now you put on your machine, your PC or your Android phone.
AppBrain, you put the AppBrain app on here, which is the push receiver, and then you can push from AppBrain.
So I like that we've gotten to the point now where we refer to smartphones as your machine.
Whoa.
You just did that subconsciously.
That's weird.
Yeah.
that's intense, is what that is. That's a mind blower.
I can't even think anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done thinking.
I meant you install the AppBrain agent on your smartphone, your Android phone.
You said machine.
I did. Well, I kind of think of it as that. I do everything on this now.
Yeah.
That's a head trip.
That's intense.
So this will you can browse AppBrain. So if you find a great app online, you can use this to push it to your phone without having to open up your phone or anything like that. Let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
Oh, right, Brian. Our top story on the news docket for this week. Mandriva's 2010 spring release is out.
Oh, yeah.
So the Mandriva guys are, we've had some stories about Mandriva, some possible buyouts and things like that.
Yep.
But they're still staying on top of their job.
Reports of their death greatly exaggerated.
They're releasing their new 2010 spring release, and it looks good. First of all, it's got a very clean-looking interface to it. But also, they've done the traditional Mandriva stuff where they have an excellent blend of new packages with a nice, easy-to-use interface on top. Because they have their like a DRAC config or whatever they call it. I forget exactly, but it's a very nice utility that we'll also talk about in PCLinuxOS. If you could move to the next release without any worry, hypothetically, if you could do it,
I don't know,
one button. And you're on the new version.
Here's the thing.
You like that fresh start, don't you?
I've been since the 80s, man. I've been geared towards.
You've been wiping.
You format C drive.
Nuke and pay.
You format your Mac hard drive.
Yep.
You completely initialize your Linux hard drive. You wipe it out, and then you reinstall fresh.
I agree.
That's what you do.
And it always feels faster. It feels cleaner. And especially you and I, we try all kinds of different stuff for the show. So we've got all kinds of junk installed.
Tons.
And sometimes
my system becomes a mess.
Sometimes for reviews, we want to try something that hasn't been released yet, so we have to sort of work around the dependencies.
Dude, when we were the last time we did reviews of video editors, I did so many weird, funky builds of like Cinelara and every video editor. My system was dorked to no end.
Cinelara specifically. That was a nasty
Holy moly, dude! I had to wipe my machine out just because I wanted to edit video. It was ridiculous.
Though I went through. I say that, but I went through a patch with Ubuntu where I went through 3 solid releases with just doing dist upgrades the whole way.
Did you really?
Starting at the beta period too. Like I would wait till the beta looked like it was kind of stabilizing out, and then do a dist upgrade, run that, and then I would do the same thing for the next 2 releases. And it actually ended up. I eventually reinstalled, I think, because I just wanted to try a different distro. A little bit about this. Let's talk about the new UI that was released for MeeGo. Now, recently we talked about MeeGo for handsets. Now, this is the combining of Nokia and Intel.
Yep.
It's the combination of Maemo and Moblin.
Yep.
Come together, and we've seen it on the netbook, but we haven't yet seen the UI. In fact, I think this was your big question when we reviewed MeeGo 1.0 for netbooks. You said, "Great, but what's it going to look like for a handheld? I cannot build an app until I know what it's going to look like."
Right.
What do you think? So we've seen our first images now. I would say my description of it would be clean, minimal,
and simple.
Simple,
very clean and simple,
but elegant.
It's very flat. One thing I really dig about it. No. I think it's great because I really abhor the iPhone-y look. It looks
too cartoony.
There's the thing when you look at like some of the phones like Android and iPhone and whatnot, they look nice. Like when they come out, they look nice because they're flashy. They kind of push the graphic design to a little new level.
Yeah.
But then 1 year later, you look at it and you go, ooh. That looks dated.
It's true.
Whereas what I like that they did about the
little more evergreen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just flat. It's old school, flat, but high color. So it's simple and kind of more timeless.
It's flat with high resolution touches and graphics.
Right.
So it's like intentional design flat.
No pulsating 3D buttons. No, nothing like that. It's just flat design elements that look appealing. It's like the difference between. Have you seen the original Shrek recently? The original
Not for a long time.
Movie. Those of you who haven't seen it yet, it looks really dated now. The 3D graphics of the original Shrek movie, you
can
start
tell how
watching
they're
it
aged.
and you're like, oh my God, did this come out in 1987? It looks really old. Whereas when it came out, hey, it looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. Whereas go back and look at, I don't know, Bambi. Right, or Cinderella, or one of the cartoons from like the 60s or 70s. It still looks classy
because it's hand drawn.
Still looks timeless.
That's kind of what this. That's a good
style.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the shots here, you'll see kind of. I don't have a good term for this, but you know, in comp is when you do super key E, or in the Mac OS X when you do the expose and you get all your windows. This kind of has, for multitasking, it kind of has a expose tiles like WebOS style flipping. Oh yeah, just like it does in. So I felt that when I saw MeeGo for the handheld, I thought it was a lot more Maemo inspired. I saw where a lot of the Maemo influences came from.
I did too.
It was a little more clear.
What I thought was look and feel wise, like the design elements, I saw a lot of Moblin. But like the functionality, the not expose, but the Compiz style look and feel, I thought that was more Maemo-y. And I liked that. I liked that they were taking some of the best from both. That pleased me a lot. The
dialer UI, I mean, I think it just looks so clean, so intuitive.
Yep.
It's not trying to be overly flashy. It's a great 1.0. I would be happy to use this on a shipped product.
No, it's not ready yet.
No, which is awesome because it's just probably going to get better.
Yeah.
So we've been using my BuzzFeed to sort of crowdsource these news stories.
Yeah.
And the BuzzFeed folks are loving on MeeGo, and they're loving this UI. I put it out there because I wasn't sure.
It's worth loving.
I think it's a little risky, to be honest, because it's not as flashy as what could be out there right now. And that is a little risky because a lot of times there's that preconception that people just look at it by the book of the, judge a book by its cover.
No, you know what?
But I'm happy.
I think the exact
and the
opposite.
BuzzFeed was happy.
I'm looking at what they're doing with MeeGo, And there are design decisions, technically and aesthetically, that I disagree with.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, I'm like, you know what? They're making these decisions because they think it's awesome, not because they feel it's going to win the market share.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because they feel like it's going to get them, the ability to destroy applications and better control my existence
Right.
like Google and Apple does.
And
they're just doing something they think is cool. And I'm like, damn it, that's what I want companies to do.
And the BuzzFeed is loving the UI. JB Viewer 9 in the chat room asked what our thoughts were on the fact that now that they're on MeeGo, they're using RPM. Do you care anymore?
We talked about it at length when it was first announced.
Yeah, and I was poo-poo on it, but
it's fine. Here's the thing: there really is no huge difference between RPM and Debian,
especially if you have all your dependencies in line.
Right. If you have all your dependencies in line and you have a properly maintained repository, the differences between apt and yum or any of the other package formats and managers out there are minimal at the most. Mm-hmm. So really,
and you're going to see apt ported. You're going to see yum.
I prefer Debian on Debs on my desktop side right now, but that's not because of the technology behind it. That's purely because of the repositories.
The distros have built around.
The distros have built good repositories.
I think
on the Debian side.
Our comment about Fedora 13 was that they had made huge improvements to yum,
which
is an RPM based package manager.
Yeah,
so it's really the implementation. So if they get the implementation right, or if the community gets an implementation right, we're covered.
We're totally covered, and I think it'd be totally fine. I mean, Fedora, OpenSUSE, all these distros have proven that it works just fine as long as you don't screw it up.
No, Silver Sonic says he disagrees with me that people are buying smartphones only because of the UI. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a Nokia coming late to the game, or MeeGo coming late to the game, must have had pressure. Looking at because what is out there is very flashy. They must have been pressured to do it, and I'm glad they didn't go that route.
I disagree totally with you guys. But most people are buying smartphones purely 100% because of the UIs. If you took look at the power that an N900 or whatnot gives you, it is distinctly more power. It's distinctly more functionality.
It's also I think
now,
it's
here's this.
UI app ecosystem and
what
design.
if you had Android 2.2 with all of its features, command line only?
Well, no, of course not.
It's UI.
Yeah. But I think UI is only part of it. I don't think it's the only reason.
If you made Android look like Windows 3.1, people would not buy it. Regardless of
an important aspect for sure.
Much power it has. It could literally... it could tell doctors when you're having a heart attack and save your life, and only 10 old people would buy it because it would be ugly.
But the flip side is I personally think iPhone 4 is a better interface design. It lacks a ton of features I need, so I use Android. And I went in because of that. I did a custom
theme.
You're
a power user, though.
I kind of did like a MeeGo like.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I like it.
A MeeGo like theme
on
my
lock screen. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
But you're a power user.
Yeah.
You represent a very small fraction of the marketplace.
Well, not so small.
I represent an even smaller fraction. Like honestly, I would sit down. If you lined up 4 phones in front of me and the most powerful one was command line only, I would choose the command line only.
Do you think then? Well, it would be kind of fun
guy.
though. But do you think that UI for MeeGo will sell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a nice UI.
It's a nice UI.
There you have it. All right.
The really cool part about it is it's distinct looking.
Yes.
And they won't have to rev it that often, which means that the look and feel of the MeeGo UI, if it became popular, would become iconic. Whereas the iPhone UI, they'd have to rev every year to keep it looking current.
That's kind of their style. So and Android's going down that same path. And for an app developer, that's nice for you if it kind of stays consistent.
It'd be great.
One last, just quick FYI for guys out there that are not using the Flash. Now, I know there's no girls out there not using Flash. I kid. But for the ladies and gentlemen out there that aren't using Flash anymore, you might have heard the news about a new YouTube mobile site for mainly Android phones and iPhones. But the truth is you can use it on your desktop as well. If you go to m.youtube.com, you can use YouTube without Flash. And you can get it in the various formats. Depending on how your distribution's media player is integrated, it might try to download the file, but that might be okay too.
Actually, I think that's way better.
Yeah. And so
I way prefer to be able to download the file and just have it locally.
If someone's like, OMG, you got to check out this YouTube video, and you're like, oh, I don't have Flash, or oh, I'm on PowerPC Linux, or I'm on 64-bit Linux and Flash isn't working.
There you go.
m.youtube.com. Watch YouTube videos without Flash, including this show.
Makes it an easy way to download the Linux Action Show.
That's a good point.
And store them locally. And watch them over and over and over again on your media centers hooked up to your TV.
That's right.
Force your wife to watch it. That's the way you go.
Force your significant other to watch the show. Super Broadcasting. Force your significant other.
How we roll at my house. You know,
sit down and watch this.
You will watch this nerd, two nerds talking, and I don't know what they're saying. It's fantastic.
All right, Brian. Well, that's all the news.
That's it
for this week.
That's all.
I think so.
Okay.
I'll start with a little background on PCLinuxOS. It was originally, well, I guess it started a long time ago. I was following it back when the creator of it, Techstar, ran a news website called PC Linux Online.
Is that where it started?
Yeah, and it was a really great news site that I'd check several times a day. And I think, if I recall, it kind of had a Mandrake slant because he was a Mandrake user and I happened to be a Mandrake user at the time.
Yeah.
And then he started kind of getting frustrated with some of the packages, some of the politics, if I recall. And so he rolled his own repo of packages.
Yeah.
And that kind of steamrolled into a pretty popular destination for people to find great applications. And Techstar kind of built himself up a name in the Mandrake community and then eventually decided to spin PCLinuxOS from Mandrake. It might have been Mandriva by this point. And it was essentially a repackaging of Mandriva with some improvements of his own, simplifications.
Yeah.
As time went on and PCLinuxOS has grown, it's now, it's high up on the charts, right? They have diverged completely from Mandriva. So it's no longer based off of Mandriva. It's based off of their own set of repos and all that kind of stuff. It's it's its own beast these days. And it comes actually with a pretty aggressive set of applications. It comes with the absolute latest version of KDE, and it comes with things like Dropbox pre-installed, all the latest tools. But what PCLinux's OS approaches, which I find kind of refreshing, is they're more of a believer in the really large, I think you'll dig this too, Brian, they're a big believer in the really large one-time releases.
Yeah.
And then they do rolling updates through their software update service, so you just stay current with each release. Like they just released a couple of days ago a wrap-up OS release.
Right.
Now, if you got 2010 when it shipped, you could you could start with what they call 2010.7, or if you've been running that 2010 OS, you've been progressively upgrading all along. So there's not a 6-month release cycle, right?
Right.
And a lot of times they don't break compatibility between releases. Now, every now and then that happens, but they warn people. So it's one of these operating systems where the user community seems to really thrive on the fact that it's a Linux distribution that doesn't try to hide the technical stuff from you, but at the same time, it's a simple set-it-and-forget-it OS system.
That is one thing I've been noticing in general, is it is a fast system.
And you got to dig. They ship it with Dropbox. That's pretty good. And they have a ginormous package repository. I think it might even be larger than Ubuntu's. I haven't used PCLinuxOS since 2007. So the last time I used PCLinuxOS, it was still very much based on Mandriva. It was RPM-based.
Yep.
It was a different beast. Now, it was still... The one I tried was the KDE version, KDE 4.
Same.
4.4.5.
It's latest and greatest.
Yeah, but it's
That's
all
why I went with
app-based
it.
now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all apt. It's all apt and repo-based. And it even includes a little tool to scan all of the known repos, find the fastest repos for you, so that way when you're installing an application,
Yeah.
you're getting it from the fastest repo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now, take a look there at the menu system. See, now this is one knock because this is a conflicted operating system in my opinion.
It really is.
They're really featuring in a lot of ways on simple. Like they come with the PCLinuxOS configuration utility, and that is a repackaging of the Mandriva tools that let you do everything from configuring your sound card to your video card settings, shares, all that kind of stuff. But then they ship it with this menu system that is very complicated, and
it's complicated. It's cluttered. It's unorganized.
But
I'm not gonna fault them
and their
for that.
user base voted for the menu to look like this. I think their philosophy is don't hold the Linux users, the new Linux users' hand too much. Let them jump in and learn what the name of these applications are.
I get that.
This is I'm going to download the GNOME version. This is probably becoming my distribution of choice. When you combine the hardware support, the configurator, and apt, and the great repo, and the speed,
Are you screwing with me right now?
and the fact that I didn't have to load any drivers,
Are you screwing with me?
I might switch to PCLinuxOS.
PCLinuxOS is becoming your distro of choice.
I just first of all, I like the community a lot. I think it's one of the best communities.
Community's
out there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Community is awesome. Pretty well.
All right, Brian. Well, that's our look at PCLinuxOS 2010.
Okay. That concludes, officially now, our broadcast of the Linux Action Show. How about
Nice.
that?
I like
How about
it.
that, Chris?
That's pretty good.
We just did a whole show. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on.
Jeez, we do.
We got
a bunch of new shows.
We got new shows coming
Got a
up.
batch.
If you've been paying attention over at JupiterBroadcasting.com, we got a new show called Jupiter at Night. This is where Chris hangs out with another person and talks about stuff at night.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much the gist?
You basically nailed it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a nightly Monday through Thursday live show that then will be released for download later. The general topic will be set by the news events of the day, and then we're also going to work in some variety of like different segments on each day, movie reviews,
musical
geek
segments,
stuff, probably
performances by Conway Twitty.
Sort of thing. I'm flying in the guy that did Chocolate Rain. No, I'm just kidding. So that we're going to be doing those live, and then also we got another daily live show because apparently we're nuts.
We're ridiculous.
These are all in the testing phase right now, and they're going to be testing next week.
Yeah. So this week. So now is Jupiter at Night? Is that still in testing phase?
Yep.
All right. So we've got it on our front page. We got Jupiter at Night beta. I think we're at beta 6 or something like that right now. Show's going pretty good. It's actually pretty cool. I kind of dig it. We got another show coming. That's just me. So if you want to just stare at my ugly mug. Every morning, early in the morning, weekdays, we're going to be doing something called Brian Lunduke's Jupiter Files.
Love it.
Which is, how do I describe this? It is a show about the paranormal phenomenon, conspiracies, a lot of alien stuff, a lot of alien abductions, UFO sightings, and the like. And I'll probably blog about it over at lunduke.com beforehand, just because that's the type
and you
of
got the Twitter. Don't worry. You'll always be able to find it over at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. And usually stuff doesn't make it on there until it's more kind of firmed up. I think our plan right now for Jupiter at Night is 9 p.m. Pacific every day next week except for Friday.
Yep.
We're going to see, the whole idea is just to see if we can really pull this off and see how it works.
Yeah, we're going to give it a whirl. And it'd be very cool for you to be able to wake up with Jupiter Broadcasting.
And go to bed.
With Jupiter Broadcasting.
And one last show that's in the testing phase. This one's way outside of our normal scope. It doesn't
oh Lord, is it?
It doesn't really feature people that you're mostly familiar with except for Justin from Legend of the Stoned Owl. It's going to be a football show.
A football show.
It's going to be called Northwest Goofballs. It's still in development. It will be an audio-only show, but with a live video stream during the production.
Kind of cool.
So if you want to see the video version, you can watch live, but it's really meant for the commuter, Download the audio version, listen to sports. These guys are huge sports nerds. Huge. They live and breathe
This is
football.
what they do. Now, I mean, I like football.
Yeah.
I do,
guys...
But I don't live and breathe it.
Yeah. You know how
These
we
guys
know
are
like
into
little
it.
random Linux facts and open source community facts and stuff? These guys are like this with football. They are crazy about it. They sit down, and I basically have to give them a deadline. Otherwise, they will go for hours and hours about football.
You have to just cut them off.
I do. I give them a hard limit.
Light down there.
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes. Wrap it up, suckers.
If you're a football
Cut the
fan, keep an ear out for some more new information about Northwest Goofballs. We'll be releasing that pretty soon.
Man, that'll be a ton of fun.
You're kind of a crazy guy, though, because on top of Lunduke Files, you're also been plugging away at the latest Illumination software.
All right.
Well, I think on that note, we'll wrap up.
That's all I got to say on that.
This week's episode of the Linux Action Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and then we come out later in the afternoon or evening for download. So if you'd like to watch us live and join the chat room, it's jupiterbroadcasting.com/live at 10 a.m. Pacific on Sundays.
Amazing. That's what it is.
All right, everyone. Well, until next week, thanks so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Linux Action Show, and we'll see you in a week.
Later, everybody.